construction catastrophe. Right out of high school in 2012, I faced a bleak job market in a remote pocket of South Dakota. Opportunities were scarce, mostly small, family-owned hardware stores with little room for growth. I felt stuck, wondering if I'd ever find my footing. A family friend threw me a lifeline, connecting me with a construction crew. The job paid by the project, not the hour, which meant unpredictable paydays, but the money was decent. As the newest hire, I was the gopher, tasked with fetching lunches for the crew, unloading heavy materials from trucks, and sweeping up debris. Grueling, thankless work that left me sore but eager to prove myself. Between these tasks, I stole moments to observe the skilled workers, captivated by their precision. My boss, Michael, a no-nonsense ex-Marine with a sharp tongue and a fair heart, took notice. One morning at a sprawling new job site, he pulled me aside with a glint in his eye. "James," he said, "we're switching things up today." He handed me a pair of worn gloves, safety glasses, and a hefty sledgehammer, then asked if I'd brought my hard hat. I nodded, barely containing my excitement. "Perfect. You're on demolition today," he declared, his voice firm but encouraging. When I asked about my usual cleanup and lunch duties, he waved it off with a grin. "Don't worry, James. The new guy's got it covered. He's around here somewhere. I need to track him down." I headed inside, where the demolition crew, Randy, Jeff, and Tyrone, stood with the homeowner mapping out the plan. Jeff's face lit up when he saw Jeff's face lit up when he saw me with the sledgehammer slung over my shoulder. "Michael put you on demo. Awesome. With an extra pair of hands, we'll tear through this." Randy, ever the joker, chimed in. "Yeah, but who's getting my corned beef and Swiss now?" I relayed Michael's message to wait while he briefed the new hire. Tyrone raised an eyebrow. "New guy? What new guy?" Just then, Michael stormed in, his face clouded with irritation. He had one cardinal rule: no tardiness, especially on day one, unless you had a solid excuse like a flat tire or a traffic jam. He gave us the rundown. 3 days to demolish 2 rooms and a connecting wall. A doable task for our 5-man crew. As we grabbed our hammers, a kid my age strutted in, looking wildly out of place. Caleb wore tennis shoes, baggy jeans sagging without a belt, an Affliction t-shirt, a flashy diesel jacket, cubic zirconia studs glinting in his ears, and a thick gold chain dangling over his chest. His first words were a disaster. "Damn, Uncle, you got me up at the crack of dawn for this. Better believe I'm getting paid." Michael, pale with fury, didn't miss a beat. "Caleb, you'll get paid when you work, and thanks for letting everyone know you're my nephew. I wasn't planning to advertise it. You're not getting special treatment." Caleb crossed his arms, pouting like a sullen teen as we tried to introduce ourselves. Michael explained. Caleb's mom, exasperated by his refusal to work at 18, had begged Michael to take him on. Even after his 17-year-old girlfriend turned up pregnant, Caleb lounged around playing Halo, expecting his mom to bankroll him. Michael, determined to instill responsibility, gave him a shot. Caleb was a walk-in disaster. His day one outfit was just the start. Michael forced him into steel-toed boots and plain clothes by day 2. But Caleb's attitude never improved. He dragged his feet, needing constant correction on even basic tasks. Still, our crew's cohesion shone through, and we finished the job a week ahead of schedule. Payday brought hefty checks, but Caleb, clutching a check he barely earned, threw a fit. Michael shut him down. "If you'd worked half as hard as the others, I'd have tossed in a bonus." "That's a few grand. Stop whining." Caleb stormed off, peeling out in his battered Ford Ranger, leaving Michael shaking his head in disbelief. Weeks later, we started a new project at a lakeside fixer-upper owned by a kind widower. The house was dated, peeling floral wallpaper, scuffed hardwood, and a sagging roof plagued by rot. The owner, prioritizing the roof, had an inspector confirm the house was otherwise sound. Caleb showed up late, skipping the walkthrough, lounging by his truck in oversized sunglasses, looking dazed. Randy muttered, "Kid's hungover." Tyrone, more skeptical, whispered to Michael to keep an eye on him. Caleb's job was simple: pick up stray shingles near the dumpster. Instead, he flung them like ninja stars, nearly hitting Randy, Jeff, and me. One whizzed past my head as I worked at the roof's peak. Michael, livid, climbed down the 25-foot ladder and ordered Caleb to use a shovel, not his hands, to avoid injuring anyone. Caleb, ever defiant, half complied, scooping shingles haphazardly and exhausting himself just to make a point. Hen, the homeowner, arrived with pizzas. Caleb ditched his post, grabbing a slice mid-task. Tyrone snapped, "We're 20 minutes from lunch and you're slacking for pepperoni? What's wrong with you?" "Hungover." Caleb, mouth full, smirked. "I'm something," his laugh dripping with malice. We let him slack, figuring he'd stay late to finish. After lunch, Jeff heard the air compressor kick on. His nail gun's safety guard was broken, and we warned everyone to steer clear. Hearing pops, we feared Caleb was nailing the freshly repaired roof. Then we saw a bird plummet, a nail in its side. Caleb was shooting birds. Furious, I climbed the ladder to stop him. At the roof's edge, Caleb aimed the nail gun at me, his confused expression twisting into malice. A pop, a fleeting sense of weightlessness, and then darkness. I awoke days later in a hospital, emerging from a medically induced coma. I'd fallen 25 feet, a bush cushioning my fall just enough to save me. A concussion, a shattered shoulder blade, and a nail lodged in my throat. A botched tracheotomy left me with chronic pain, a gravelly voice, and limited mobility. Caleb had fled, leaving me for dead. Michael and Tyrone visited, filling me in. Caleb's mom found an empty Vicodin bottle in his room, confirming he was high that day. When Michael finally reached him, Caleb sneered, "Good luck finding me. I was trying to get fired. You wouldn't let me quit. James was dumb enough to climb that ladder. His injuries on him. He lived great, but I'm not sticking around for charges." He ditched his phone and vanished. Justice eluded me. Caleb stole my mobility, my love for carpentry, and nearly my life. At 23, I landed an admin job with minimal typing, thanks to a compassionate boss. I bought a fixer-upper, but hiring help stings. I know the work but can't do it myself. Tyrone and Jeff pitch in, but I hate burdening them. Michael, consumed by guilt, suffered a stroke and now uses a wheelchair. If you meet a 5'10" ginger-haired guy named Caleb near Deadwood, South Dakota, tell him James has unfinished business. Weeks passed, and I distanced myself from Mark. He took the hint, keeping his distance. My probation's end neared, and my sales were solid. One weekend, at a park with Lily, I spotted Mark in the distance. Hoping he'd pass, I watched Lily play with another kid. Then, he approached, striking up a casual conversation while stealing unsettling glances at the children. My skin crawled. I cut it short, took Lily home, and reinforced stranger's safety without naming Mark. Though he was all I could think about. Anxiety gnawed at me. What was he capable of? A month later, around midnight, I was up late at my brother's kitchen table finishing paperwork. A noise outside startled me. I dismissed it, but a second, closer sound set my nerves on edge. Heart racing, I crept to the front door and saw a shadow by the window. At the back door, I caught Mark's face through the glass, prying it open. The office stalker. I'm David, a 47-year-old single dad to my 25-year-old daughter, Lily. In 2007, after a messy divorce, we relocated to a new city, bunking with my brother. The move was jarring, but I hustled to rebuild. I started with a sales job at an electronics store, scraping by while applying for better gigs. A LinkedIn ad for a tech sales role caught my eye. High pay, a sleek, Google-style office with free snacks and perks. It felt like a long shot, but I applied. To my astonishment, I nailed the interview and got the job. It was my chance to give Lily a real home, but the 3-month probationary period loomed large. I could be fired for missing sales quotas or simply not fitting in. On my first day, I plastered on a smile, greeting everyone with enthusiasm. That's when I met Mark, a senior sales rep tasked with showing me around. Tall, slouched, with a bushy mustache, thick glasses, and suspenders worn with an ironic smirk. He gave off hipster vibes. I didn't care if we clicked. I just needed to keep this job. Mark walked me through the basics. But after a few days, I was largely on my own in the open plan office, where our 15-person sales team worked. By month 1, I squeaked by my sales quota, securing my spot for now, and got along with most coworkers. Mark was still around, chatting daily, but I noticed others dodging him. Curious but focused. I didn't dig deeper. One afternoon, Mark swung by my desk, inviting me for drinks with the crew. Eager to bond, I arranged for my sister-in-law to pick up Lily from school and agreed to go. Outside, Mark stood alone, claiming the others bailed. Disappointed, I could have gone home to Lily. I didn't want to seem rude, so I followed him to a nearby bar. Over drinks and appetizers, we made small talk. I opened up about living with my brother and raising Lily as a single dad. When Lily came up, Mark made crude, inappropriate jokes about young girls. My stomach churned. I wanted to slug him, but mindful of my probation, made a polite excuse, paid my tab, and bolted. At home, I joined Lily and my sister-in-law for board games, tucking her in with a heavy heart. Flung the door wide, catching him in the act. He stammered, claiming he needed to talk. I wasn't buying it. Lily was asleep upstairs, and the thought of him near her ignited fury. "Get out," I growled, "or I'm calling the cops." He knew I meant it and sprinted off into the night. With my probation nearly up, I couldn't wait. I confided in my supervisor, detailing Mark's behavior. She urged me to report it to the police, and I did. Mark was arrested that day. I learned others had lodged complaints. Minor issues, nothing like my ordeal. Coworkers thanked me for speaking out, relieved someone had acted. I kept the job, secured a cozy apartment for Lily and me, and stayed nearly a decade before moving on. Mark? He disappeared from my life, and I hope he stays gone.
Twerking, the security betrayal. In my late 20s, I worked as a security guard at an apartment complex. The job was monotonous but undemanding, perfect for paying the bills. My coworker Ethan, a small reserved guy younger than me, wasn't exactly a barrel of laughs. Shifts with him felt like solitary confinement. He'd glue himself to his phone while I buried my nose in a book to kill time. We got along fine, but I preferred the livelier guys. Their banter made the hours fly. I suspected Ethan was into hard drugs. His gaunt face and hollow eyes screamed it. But he never showed up high, so I kept it to myself. One night, I was stuck with Ethan on a graveyard shift, the clock ticking past midnight. I'd brought my gym bag stuffed with essentials, my passport, social security card, keys, and a wad of cash from a bank visit.
I didn't trust leaving it at home, so it sat by my chair in the security office. I was deep in a novel, Ethan scrolling endlessly, the hum of the AC the only sound. After a quick bathroom break, I returned to find my bag slightly askew. I brushed it off as paranoia, but unzipped it anyway. Everything seemed in place, except my keys were gone. Ethan was the only one there. Heart thudding, I kept my tone casual. "Hey, see my keys?" He didn't look up, muttering a flat no. His curt reply made me second-guess myself. Had I left them at the gym? The cash was untouched, which didn't add up. If he'd steal, why skip the money? I texted my roommate, confirming he'd be home, ensuring I wouldn't be locked out. The gym was closed, so I was stuck waiting. The rest of the shift dragged, Ethan silent, me stewing. At 6 a.m., I caught a bus home, arriving by 6:45. Through the window, I saw my roommate, who left for work as I walked in. Exhausted from the late shift, still a grind since I only did a few weekly. I locked the doors and collapsed into bed. Around 10 a.m., footsteps and voices jolted me awake. Groggy, I assumed it was my roommate back for lunch. But the voices multiplied, unfamiliar. Adrenaline surged. I slipped out of bed, creeping toward the noise. Peeking from my bedroom, I saw 3 masked men tearing through the apartment. One spotted me, barking to the others. Then I clocked Ethan, his slight build unmistakable, mask or not. He froze when he realized I'd made him, panic flashing in his eyes. They charged me. One shoved me back into the bedroom, yelling to stay put. Ethan trailed, avoiding my gaze, clearly regretting his choices, but too deep to back out. As they rummaged, I grabbed my half-charged phone from the nightstand. I heard them bolt out the front door, the lock clicking shut. I dialed 911, reporting the break-in. Police arrived, but the thieves were long gone. They'd nabbed my roommate's laptop and some electronics, leaving my stuff mostly intact. Later, cleaning up shattered glass, I moved the couch, and there were my keys. Ethan had dropped them, likely planning to gaslight me with a smug, "Did you check under the couch?" Rage boiled. I called the police again, adding the keys to my report. They arrested Ethan that day. He confessed, ratting out his buddies. The only upside? I never had to share a shift with that snake again.